Hello, everybody, and welcome to my studio. It is me, Gideon, also known as Gideon's Light, and I'm your creatively fit coach, right? So, today again, I'm trying something new. It's getting more and more technical as the days go by because I'm playing with more than one camera, and hopefully, you guys can see what I'm doing on the table as well as having a face to face conversation with me. So, without any further ado, let us light a candle for our studio today and just send some love and light into the world. And I'm thinking of all of you. It is rather cold here in South Africa today. The winter has finally arrived. So it's going to be fun, and we're going to be playing in our art journal. So I'm just going to put my little flame of hope to the side. And then I have selected my color scheme for the day, and the prompt for today is Desert Rose. Isn't that beautiful? Desert Rose. Now, desert roses in my world looks like these beautiful succulents, and I was happy to find a picture in my color cube. This is card number 245 if you want to paint along. And we are not going to recreate a desert rose. We are just going to have fun today and play in our studio with these colors. And what I've got here is my art journal. Now, as you know, if you've been watching my videos, this is not watercolor paper. It's just art journal, maybe just for sketching. The paper is very thin. So I don't expect miracles on this paper, so we're not going to throw a lot at it today. But I'm going to play with my watercolors, and I do want to just have a bit of fun today and just enjoy the process. Now, what I've done before I started making this, recording this video, is I pre-mixed my colors, and this is my palette of watercolor that I've got here. And I also got this from Timo this week. It's a set of metallic pearlescent watercolors that's really beautiful. Please excuse my doggy today, as there is a visitor in our home, and as she's moving around, my dogs aren't used to visitors. So anyway, let's get into this creative practice exercise for today. So I wanted to mix some color, like I said before, and this is what this color cube tool allows me to do. It sort of challenges me to work with a limited color palette, and it sort of helps me to mix color and to figure out how to create specific hues or tones or shades. So if you turn this around, you will notice there are some codes on the color cube card, but they are graphic design numbers or hashtags. It's not for the painting world, but you know, the color sort of works in the same way. So we've got black, and in my little jar or little container here, I've mixed Payne's gray because I don't have black in watercolor. It's easy to make. So I've got Payne's gray. Then we mixed a dark teal, which is this one at the top here. And for this one, I basically used Hooker's green and indigo blue to really work this down. And then we've got the Bondi blue, according to them, which is for me just a beautiful teal. And I think for that, I used Viridian green and turquoise from my watercolor paints. And then last but not least, we've got this mint gray. Now you can see mine is a little bit still too green. I'm going to show you now how to neutralize that. And for that, I've used this emerald green, and I've used cerulean blue and a little bit of zinc white. And then we've got this beautiful French rose. And what I've mixed for this color, I used a little bit of rose madder, and I've used some carmine red. The two tones together works really beautiful. And then we have this lovely, lovely French rose kind of color. Now it's okay, I've made a mess on my page already, but we're going to be playing with that soon enough. All right, so one of the tricks that I can say to you is if you've mixed your blues and greens to create these teal, turquoisey, kind of minty grey colors and they're too green for you, then just add a drop of your French rose, in this case, to that mix in order to mute them down, because it's the law of color. So let's just grab my color wheel here, and the sort of rosy, what is it called, French rose will fall here in the red category. So opposite to that would be your green. So if you add a drop of green to your red, you will neutralize it a little bit. So then you will get a little bit of a muted down kind of shade. It doesn't show on this particular color chart what will happen. Adding black, no, I wanted to add green, but anyway, so opposing colors or opposite colors are a great way, complementary colors, to mix them together in order to mute them down, in order to make them a little bit less vibrant. So that is the tip I can give you. I'm just going to put that to the side. I want to look at my desert rose. I'm just going to make it stand there. Now, like I said, I'm not going to paint desert roses. I'm just going to play on this page today, and I'm going to use one of my new brushes. This is a number 18 of the Bohemia 5001 artist brush that I also got from Timo. They're nice, they're beautiful for watercolor as well as for gouache. And it's just a round brush. And then I also have some water containers to my left. And I also have a little bit of sea salt. Now this is rock salt. You can use any salt. So there we go. So we've got our colors here. And I thought today I just want to come in and play with a little bit of my colors that I've pre-mixed here. And I just want to create some interesting little shapes. So let's just start with a small one. So in a way, I want to practice creating little domes, almost like the desert rose, what do you call it? Petals. There's the word I'm looking for. And I'm just going to go around and just make a little bit of these shapes, but I want them to touch. So you can think of them as little rounded off triangles in a way. And I'm just going to use the toe of my brush to create these little shapes. And then as I progress, I'm going to keep going around in circles. Nothing serious, right? And just build upon that foundation. And then we'll see what it will look like in the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and make these little triangles. And just build on these beautiful colors that we've got going here. Sometimes you just want to come to your art studio and to your art journal and just play. It mustn't be a series or seriousness. And I think that's what I need today. I need a bit of a mental holiday. Honestly, this has been a challenging month of May, and we now entered June. So like I said, winter has arrived. And I just don't want anything serious in my art journal today. I just want to have a bit of fun and just play with these color mixtures and just see where it will lead me. So I'm just going to, in a spiral way, go around and create my own version of a desert rose. I am currently working on my exhibition. My next exhibition is planned for the 7th of September. That's going to be a lot of fun. So if you live in Pretoria, South Africa, or in Gauteng, it's not that far if you live in Gauteng, and you want to come see my work, then save the date for the 7th of September this year. It's going to be at Cafe Allure, and next to the koi pond, the same venue that I used last year. And it's really nice and small and intimate. So that's really cool. So now I'm switching to my next color. And in this little, what shall we call it, color prompt, it is called Bondi Blue. But for me, it's just turquoise. Now what I've also done is I've added a very, very little amount of some of these pearlescent colors. And so they might show up a little bit on my little desert rose that I'm painting here. And as I go around, I'm making my petals a little bit bigger. I'm just creating little pools of color here. Now I would say these strengths of pigment that I've prepared here is about between tea and coffee strengths. So they will show up, but if you know watercolor, they will also lighten as we go forward. Now I want them to touch a little bit because I want the colors to be able to sort of flow into each other as we move forward. It's a really noisy Monday here in my area. So forgive all the noises. I hope it's not too distracting. Luckily I've got a microphone, so that is helping. So you can see I'm not overly precious about the shapes of the petals. Like I said, I don't want to paint a desert rose. I just want to create some beautiful shapes that I can drop some color in. And that's actually the bit I'm looking forward to the most. So that's also why I'm working fast, and I'm working with quite a bit of water on my brush, because I want some time, to paint these petals quickly and then sort of come back, and I want to drop in that beautiful French rose into this little exercise. Now for this very light teal color, I did add a bit of Chinese zinc white gouache in order to sort of give me this powdery hue that I needed for the mix. I don't want my petals to dry out on me yet. So I'm using quite a bit of water on this non-watercolor paper. And here we go. So it's almost like painting a mandala. It's quite relaxing, and it helps me to get present here. So I'm going to just allow this moment to get into my right brain. So if you guys are enjoying what I'm doing and prompting you to play in your art journal and to have a creative practice, then I want to invite you to join my Creative Heart group. It's a private group on Facebook, and that is where I support my friends, my tribe, you guys that watch my videos and paint along and create along with me. That is where you can share your art with me, and you can show off what you are doing. And even if you're a beginner, I know it can be very intimidating to share your art and your exercises with people that you don't know, because we've all experienced some art trauma in our lives before, where we've been shamed, or even comparing yourself to other people can be quite damaging, because you think you compare yourself to somebody that looks like they know what they're doing and they're very creative and they have some art skills under the belt. It can be very intimidating to sort of say, okay, I can't do that, so I'm not going to share my art because I don't feel like I have any skill whatsoever. So this group is where you can feel safe to do that. I promise you, it's a very supportive, accommodating and caring group of people that have joined my journey, and I want to encourage you to check it out on Facebook. There are links in the description of this video, so just check it out and join us. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper with me, then I also have a Patreon channel. And on my Patreon channel, every 2 months, we've got a combined focus. And with that, I mean, I have a theme that we're working on and we play with that. And I normally try to sort of add something in the coaching kind of manner there to show you how your art can coach your life and help you to work towards your goals, and sort of look at the symbology of what we are painting in a supportive and therapeutic way. And that's sort of what I love about being a creative coach, is to sort of just give that space to people to recognize that through our art we can sort of recognize patterns and behavior, and recognize that life is a process. It's a series of brush strokes and of layers that brings you closer to your goal. So that is sort of what I'm aiming to share with everyone over on my Patreon page. It's only like $5 a month, so it's not a lot of money, but that supports me. It really helps me to get art supplies, and it helps pay for this whole day that I dedicate in my week to my YouTube channel and my Patreon to create content for TikTok and Facebook and all of these places where I share with you guys. So I want you to feel encouraged that there's definitely a space for you somewhere out there that you can join in. So all of the links are in the description of this video, so check it out. Okay, I'm rinsing out and I'm putting this brush aside. Now I'm going to go for a smaller brush. Now I had it this morning. Where did I put it? I want my rigger brush. Here we go. My rigger brush. And I'm going to now dip it in this French rose. So now I'm going to go and just basically at the toe of each of these, I'm just going to drop in a little bit of this French rose. And if you've worked with watercolor before, you will know the magic of watercolor, when you add some or drop in some color into your area that you've worked. Now, some of these are still very wet, but it's okay. I'm going to allow the magic of the watercolor to do its thing for me. Okay, that's maybe a bit much, ne? So this is the magical moment when we drop in some color and just see what it does. And sometimes with watercolor, or with any medium for that matter, you have an ugly stage and you have a moment that you go, oh God, what happened there? That's not what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to only be on the edge or the rim or whatever you envisioned. Now, this is a secret in art that I want to share with you guys, especially if you're a beginner. You have the vision, you have the inspiration, you have your art materials, you come prepared and you walk into this moment all inspired and ready to create whatever you have in mind. It can be a picture or an idea in your mind. And then you begin your art process. And then suddenly you realize, but you know what? It's not happening. It's not looking the way that I wanted it to look. And that's normal. So I guess this is where you surrender to the process and you go, okay, cool. I sort of envisioned it differently. And you open yourself to just accepting whatever is happening on your paper or your canvas and go with the flow, because that's where the magic happens. When you start to wanting to control every brush stroke and every art process that you will engage with, it can become exhausting, especially if you are a recovering perfectionist. Because you want to be in control, and art supply sometimes wants to do its own little thing. And I can honestly say, sometimes it helps to just embrace it. Sometimes it helps to go with the flow and just say, whatever, Trevor, I'm just going to allow you to be free and to flow where you want to flow and do what you want to do. I mean, obviously, if you become a little bit more professional, you will know exactly how to sort of manipulate your art supplies and to give it sort of the vibe that you want it to have. And I mean, otherwise, all art would be completely uncontrollable, But I think, like, especially a medium like watercolor, it sort of it lends itself to being a little bit magical and to just do something unexpected. And that I've learned to embrace and to just allow it to happen on the page, and sometimes deliberately encourage it, like in this session, to just happen. And I like that. That's really beautiful. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now that we've done that, I'm going to come in with this beautiful pearlescent kind of moments. And I'm going to just drop some of this in. Now, I like this color. It turns red when I paint with it, but when it's dry, it has like a turquoise finish. So that's like interesting. So let's drop some of that in here as well. This paper might take 10 years to dry with all the water that I've got on here. I'm used to watercolor paint paper that absorbs the water a little bit better. That's really cool. So I'm just going to come in and make some of these edges a little bit more like my desert rose. And like I said, this is just a playful theme. I'm not trying to paint a desert rose. I'm just trying to embody it in some kind of way. And I love it when the watercolor paints touch each other and just start flowing into each other. And then later, when it's dry, we'll come back and we'll look at it and just appreciate all these little miracles that happened on the page. Oh, my puppy is not impressed with my closed door today. So we'll just have to motor through this. So now, if you want to ask me, like, what strength is your watercolor at the present moment? Because I'm practically working straight out of the jar here, I would say it's about cream strength. So really just liking what's happening here. So I'm just going over the outer edge here. So I always say watercolor painting is a lot like drawing, but drawing with a brush and water. And I think that's what puts a lot of people off as well. And it sounds elementary when you say, watercolor, and you think, oh yes, I did watercolor when I was in primary school. I can do that. And then you start playing with it and you go, oh my word, this is harder than I remember. But I think the difference was when you were 5 years old, you were fearless in expressing yourself. You didn't have preconceived ideas about what is correct and what is beautiful. You just went for it. You expressed yourself. You grabbed whatever color inspired you and you rolled with it. And in a way, you created your own little authentic art. And then you had the courage to share that with anyone that would give you 5 minutes to look at your art. So, in a way, an art practice is about connecting again with your inner child at that stage, before shame, before, any of those negative emotions sort of penetrated your consciousness. Comparison, feeling unworthy, being told that creating art is a waste of time, it's for lazy people, whatever. I mean, I've heard it all. And to just come back to recognize the beauty in creating something that didn't exist 10 minutes ago, and you made it. And as long as you had fun in doing that, I promise you, it will have its own beauty. It will have its own sort of life force, and you will walk away from this 10 minutes or 20 minutes, how much time you want to spend on your creative practice. You will begin to reap the benefits of it. For me, last week was rather challenging. We voted in South Africa. We stood in the queues for a number of hours, and I'm glad that I did it, and sort of excited to see how it's going to take our nation forward. But unfortunately, my feet got a little bit injured. It was also busy at the salon, so I had to stand a lot, and I don't know, something went a little bit pear-shaped in my foot, and so I'm wearing a elastic, what do you call those, ankle braces at the moment. It's feeling much better today, thanks for asking. But yeah, so coming to my studio and just playing is a way for me to deal with pain, is a way for me to process my week, is a way for me to just give myself permission to just breathe and exhale and process where I'm at and where I'm going, and I find it very useful. I think that's really pretty. Let's take some of this. This is like a pearlescent black gold or gold black, I don't know. Like when I paint with it, it looks black to me, but then this beautiful gold comes out of it as well. And that's rather fun. So now I'm just going to play with these pools. I feel inspired to just do these beautiful little roundy little hoops that connect. And I encourage little pools of color to connect with each other and to flow into each other. And as we go outwards, we make them bigger to sort of jump over our little triangles that we made. Being inspired by the desert rose. And in a way, I'm practicing brush control without even thinking about it. Forgive me. So what's happening here is I'm not holding my brush like a pen, because I think that's one of the first mistakes people make. So when you hold it like a pen, you want to draw like a pen. I like to just come on the toe of my brush and just allow myself to drag the paint. So I'm not putting it to the side like that. I'm literally playing on the toe of my brush. Let's get some more water going here. I should actually use this water. Add a bit more pigment to it. There we go. You see, we try something. Your art journal is your space where you can experiment and express yourself and just have some fun and see what would happen. What would happen if I do this? Be curious. Be open to experiment. There's no one around telling you can't do this, you can't do that. That's the best part. Now I did tape off this page before with some masking tape, so that when we are done we have a nice clean edge. There we go. Wonderful. I think we have got some beautiful moments happening here. Alrighty, here we go. This is dried beautifully. I did use my hairdryer to speed things up, so you can always allow things to dry or you can make it dry. So that is just the way the cookie crumbles, and I absolutely love how this sort of pearlescent kind of metallic watercolor has added some beauty to this piece that would not have been there if I didn't use that. So, you know, I think this is quite lovely. So I'm very happy with that purchase. That was definitely worth it. So I did sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on this page before I left the studio to play with my beautiful puppy, and it gave me some beautiful textures in between that I really like as well. So now I just want to maybe continue to work on this color theme of ours. So as you can see, this will definitely also sort of work in that category for me. Now, I don't absolutely have to do this. You don't have to do it, but I want to do it. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to come around and maybe not there. Let's start over here. And I'm just going to, if my gel pen will allow me, I'm just going to come around and just on the inside of these little hoops, I'm going to add some of this fluoro neon pink gel pen just to bring in a little bit of line detail. And I think it's always, you know, in a way helpful when you sort of play with a piece like this, especially with watercolor, to add a bit of line work. For some reason, if you add a bit of detailed line work, it just brings the whole piece together. So I guess it's all about that design principle of repetition, of harmony, and of what else shall we use? Pattern, contrast, emphasis. I'm just thinking of all the elements of design that I can apply in order to bring a piece home and to just make it look a little bit more finished and cohesive. I absolutely love how these colors have worked together. So it just shows you the power of a limited color palette that works together. All of these colors are harmonized because we sort of stuck with one color family and we didn't deviate from that. This desert rose. He's coming together. I did contemplate for a second there only to do the center, and I actually quite like that idea. I wish I stopped earlier, but repetition might save the day. Let's leave the very outside, because variety is also a design element. I'm going to stick to this little, or switch to this beautiful metallic, shall we call it a teal or a turquoise? And let's just bring in a little bit of this to the center, making it a focal point. Quite like that. Let's add a little bit of a dot here. Now, it's like I said before, you don't always know how things are going to work out. Sometimes it works out beautifully and you love what you created, and other times you learn something from the process. You go, oh, okay, I didn't know that will happen. Now I know. And that's why I say it's never a waste of time to just have some fun in your art journal, play, experiment, try something new, see where that path will lead you. And I'm sure by the end of each session, you would have either experienced something, learned something, or achieved something. And that's all good, you know. And that's how I take things forward in my experience to a finished piece, or when I'm working on a piece that's absolutely the intention is to create something that will be framed and will be sold or will be hung on a wall, whatever your purpose is or intention is. Let's see what this gold does to this little design. For me today, it was all about just having fun, playing with a limited color palette, being inspired by the desert rose, and just having fun, not being serious at all, not being critical and worried about what it will look like in the end, if it looks juvenile or like, you know, a 5-year-old did it, that's okay, you know. It's my inner child that did it. Give expression to your inner child. I mean, why not? That's awesome. Just that bit of gold brings out that whole centerpiece for me, so I quite like it. For me, I represented a desert rose. We used this color scheme of ours successfully. We played with our watercolor. We tried something new with a metallic pearlescent finishing watercolor. I even played with a bit of salt and a little bit of my jelly roll. So, you know, I think that really nails this exercise for me. I think it was a lot of fun and I really enjoyed how these colors work together. I will definitely do maybe a proper small painting this week of a desert rose using this color scheme, because now I sort of know what to expect from the colors when I use them together, and now I can maximize on that because I've learned something from this experimental page in my art journal. So I hope that it inspired you to try something new as well. So try and use my prompt of desert rose this week in your sketchbook or art journal and see where that takes you on your beautiful journey. So, and then take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart group, because I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with this week's prompt. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again next week for another episode of the Creative Heart. And there we have it, our desert rose in my art journal. And it was a lot of fun using this week's color prompt from the Color Cube, which is these beautiful 5 colors. And the desert rose was the inspiration for me to create this simple watercolor exercise and just repeating this pattern and allowing these beautiful colors to flow into each other and to create some beautiful textures and puddles of color. So I hope you are inspired this week to also try this prompt desert rose and see how you will interpret it in your sketchbook, and then take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Heart. I'll see you guys again next week for another episode. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.